Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to DreamWorks Switch to Life. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing Shrek 2 as it just barely celebrated its 20th anniversary. It was even given a theatrical re-release, but I don't understand why they did it an entire month before the actual anniversary. I guess maybe there were too many movies playing or something. Anyway, a lot of people have said that Shrek 2 is one of the greatest movies that has ever hit cinema. And to be honest, I have to agree. Some have called it the best animated sequel of all time, and to that I say, it's up there, but not the best. Despite that, I actually really enjoy Shrek 2 and the Shrek franchise in general because it's just really good. Not only is it funny and definitely has a lot of fairy tale tropes, not to mention modern day references, which might actually take away from the story, but still, it's really good. I also really enjoyed the voice acting that they had in this movie, as well as the music, which was a really great pick. And the ending song, I Need a Hero, that is literally the best scene of I Need a Hero anywhere. I don't know why movies keep trying to top it, they're never going to. But above all else, the thing that really makes this movie amazing is the emotional story that is being told here. So let's dive into that. The movie starts with Shrek and Fiona getting back from their honeymoon, at which point they are invited to the kingdom of Far, Far Away to meet Fiona's parents, who at this point haven't even seen their daughter since they locked her away in a castle for her own safety because, she was turning into an ogre every single night. And for some reason, they thought the best method was to have her locked away in her tower for her own safety until Prince Charming could rescue her. Which, in my opinion, was a stupid plan, but, it worked. Shrek did rescue Fiona, and they did fall in love. But, of course, Shrek is definitely not the Prince Charming that her parents wanted, because he himself is an ogre. Now, I actually really enjoyed what they did by making it so that while Queen Lillian was all keen for Fiona to be happy with the husband of her choice, King Harold was understandably super upset to the point where he actually tried to hire an assassin to kill Shrek. And, I get that you're trying to protect your daughter, but hiring an assassin, that's a big blow. But anyway, even Shrek isn't keen to be part of this new family of his because obviously he still thinks that ogres are supposed to be loners, and he doesn't want to change that. But then Fiona is upset, and Shrek realizes that just as Fiona has made changes for him, he needs to make changes for her. This movie asks the question, how far will Shrek go for Fiona's happiness? And he goes extremely far. After almost getting killed by the assassin Puss in Boots, who he eventually spares his life for, and thus they actually become fast friends, which actually makes me think that Puss might have the power of hypnosis, cause why would you want to become fast friends with someone who just tried to kill you? And they do have a really good friendship, but still, he literally just tried to kill Shrek. Anyway, Shrek is trying to find a way to make Fiona happy, and the best way to do that is to make her parents happy, and for a long time, Fiona has wanted to marry her own Prince Charming, and obviously, her parents still want her to marry a Prince Charming. So, since Shrek can't be Prince Charming, since, he's an ogre, he has to find some way to actually turn himself into Prince Charming. So he breaks into Fairy Godmother's castle, at which point he ends up stealing one of her potions, which is called Happily Ever After, and it not only changes him into a human who happens to be extremely handsome, but also Princess Fiona is turned back into her human self, much to her shock, obviously. And then Shrek and Fiona actually try to reunite, but unfortunately, Fairy Godmother manages to lure Shrek away from Fiona, and Prince Charming swoops in. A literal guy named Prince Charming, who happens to be the son of Fairy Godmother, who is the main villain of this movie. So I actually really loved Fairy Godmother. She was kind of one of those villains who wants to do everything in her power to protect her son, but she also has an image to uphold as a benevolent being. So she grants wishes and pretty much does everything in her power, which is a lot, to help people find their happiness. She even does the same with Princess Fiona because in her eyes, there is no way that anyone could ever be happy by marrying a filthy ogre. And of course, Fiona was actually betrothed at a young age to her son, Prince Charming. So obviously, Shrek is an obstacle that she has to get rid of. But the good news is that when Shrek took the happily ever after potion, Fairy Godmother and Prince Charming were able to take advantage of it by having Prince Charming pretend to be Shrek affected by the happily ever after potion, and Shrek was forced to say goodbye to Fiona for her happiness, which is really good. The fact that Shrek was willing to sacrifice so much, he not only changed to a human, but he also decided to let her go so she could be with her one true love. But obviously, that's not the case because Princess Fiona doesn't love Prince Charming. Sure, she was willing to try to fall in love with him, but the issue is, that's not the husband that she married. He doesn't act anything like Shrek, and of course she believes that it is Shrek, but she realizes that this is not her husband. Realizing that his daughter isn't actually happy with Prince Charming, King Harold tries to call off the deal with Fairy Godmother, but of course, part of the deal was his own happiness, which he's not willing to risk. But Shrek manages to actually overhear this conversation and realizes that Fiona doesn't love Prince Charming, she loves him, and she wants him back. Unfortunately, Fairy Godmother catches on and ends up arresting Shrek and Donkey and Puss in Boots. And when they are in prison, his arrest is streamed on live TV, at which point his friends actually watch the arrest happen and they realize that they need to go rescue Shrek. So they pull off some Mission Impossible antics to break Shrek out of prison, and then Shrek comes up with the plan to break into the castle of Far, Far Away by using a giant gingerbread man named Mongo. Meanwhile, Fairy Godmother is trying to convince King Harold to give Fiona a love potion so that Fiona will be forced to fall in love with Prince Charming. And I really love what happens because King Harold knows that he wants his daughter to be truly happy and decides that the best way to do that is to not give her the love potion. So at the last possible second, Shrek breaks into the ball and watches Prince Charming kiss Fiona and realizes that he's lost. But Fiona never took the love potion, so she just knocks out Prince Charming after the kiss and goes to embrace her actual husband, Shrek. And then there's a final confrontation against Fairy Godmother, who pretty much forgoes all of her public image as a benevolent Fairy Godmother, and she ends up trying to actually kill Shrek. But King Harold ends up making a selfless sacrifice, and her spell ricochets off of him and ends up killing the Fairy Godmother by bursting her into bubbles. And for some reason, it also reveals King Harold's true form as the Frog Prince. But with a twist. Apparently, instead of kissing a princess and turning into a human, he makes a deal with Fairy Godmother to turn into a human, marry the queen, at which point his daughter would be married to her son. So, King Harold reveals that the only reason he was trying to stand up against Shrek was because he actually wanted his daughter to be happy, but he can see that she already was happy with Shrek. So he not only asks for their forgiveness, but also he ends up giving them his blessing. Then Shrek reveals that the happily ever after potion will wear off at midnight unless he kisses Fiona, and he's willing to throw away his life as an ogre. And of course, Fiona is really happy about this, and she decides that the best way for her to be happy is with the ogre that she married. So they both allow the spell to wear off and they both turn into ogres, and they're actually happy with that. But a reminder, all of this is taking place at a ball, so after that happens, they return to the celebrations, and thus the movie ends. And then there's also an end credit scene where Dragon ends up showing up, revealing where she's been this whole time because she wasn't involved in the movie at all. However, there were points early on in the film where she was going to be involved, and just as Donkey turned into a stallion after drinking the happily ever after potion, she was going to turn into a talking Pegasus that would have been his perfect match. But not many people actually liked that story because they thought that Dragon was best as a dragon, but the plot never really called for her to be there anyway. So instead, they decided to just have her be pregnant throughout the entire movie with donkeys, and that's where she's been this whole time. Anyway, that's my review of Shrek 2. Overall, a really amazing movie that is definitely one of, if not the best, animated sequel of all time. Granted, it's not my favorite sequel, but a lot of people actually really enjoyed it, not to mention the fact that to this day, it is still DreamWorks' highest grossing movie, which is really saying something. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed it didn't reach the $1 billion mark when it was re-released, but still, I guess it was too much to hope for anyway. However, it's still a lot of people's favorite Shrek movie. Not mine personally. That's actually Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish, which actually isn't a Shrek film, so let's say the first film is my favorite of the Shrek movies. But with that in mind, I really enjoyed the second Shrek movie as well because it's really awesome. But what did you guys think? Make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comments section, and please make sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date on all things DreamWorks, including any news that we will have about the upcoming Shrek 5, which most likely has a release date of 2026. But with that in mind, I hope that you are all staying safe out there, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.
Announcing the long-awaited return of the beautiful Princess Fiona and her new husband.
Well, this is it.
This is it. This is it. This is it.